here I was, just 3 days out from quitting my job and still majorly twisted up inside about it. I didn't head out on this hike in any sort of concerted attempt to reconcile those feelings, but the woods have a way of doing that for you. It also helped that I was out there with my sister, who, unlike anyone else I'd spoken to, intimately knows what it was like to grow up in the Barry household. She's also a therapist, which doesn't hurt, but she distilled something for me that I'd never really thought about before, and that's where the gap in my ability to self-validate really formed. And she pointed out, hey, we never saw that modeled for us. My mom was hard on herself every second of every day, and we never got a glimpse into what affirming yourself would really look like. That next day also just happened to be a full moon. I had serendipitously booked myself a sound bath for that Libra pink full moon, which started with a 45-minute session of yoga nidra, which at first I resented because I just really wanted to get into the sound bath experience, but it ended up being the most restorative part of the whole experience for me, because they have you set an intention, a sankalpa, which is in Sanskrit a solemn vow or a resolve to do something. The instructor put it as a lesson you're really, really tired of learning. And can you guess what mine was? That I am all the validation that I need. And between bathing myself in nature and bathing myself in sound, I came out the other side ready for my Monday morning conversation. No idea if this footage will see the light of day, but I'm sub 1 hour until I have a one-on-one with my boss to break the news that I am resigning and putting in my 2 weeks. Am I wearing my shirt around my neck so I can let my deodorant dry? Yeah. Do I always do that? Yeah. Do I film TikToks like this? Yeah. Funny enough, my nerves and my anxiety are not even what goes down. It's honestly just the flow of the conversation. I'm just worried that he's gonna hop on and a normal one-on-one just start asking me about my deals. And then I'll have to be wait, this meeting was actually about something else. And then he'll be like, what? And I'll be like, I'm quitting. Which would just be awkward to have to back up and do that. So hopefully he's just hey, what's up? Why'd you set the one-on-one? Then it can be oh, I have some news to share with you, I would love if I could just prepare a monologue and just read the whole monologue and he just sits there and then he's allowed to respond. But I know that's not exactly a normal flow of human conversation. And not everything is a one-woman play. So, yeah, I'm someone who loves to talk. I love to communicate. I love to orate. But even I have deep-seated fears about communicating at times. So, yeah, wish me luck. I'm so nervous. Just waiting for him to jump on. How's it going?
Morning. It's all right. I just with all this construction here, I'm getting some. But do I have 2 one-on-ones on the calendar with you?
You might. I just set this one up because I wanted to jump on. Had some news to share in that I've decided to leave Adobe. Hard to say and hard to come to terms with, but decided to take the next step in my career and wanted to give you the 2 weeks notice.
Wow, what are you doing?
There's a couple different options. None of them are in tech or sales, so no competitors, so I can definitely stay on. Don't have to walk me out today or anything, but I haven't fully signed an offer yet.
Okay. Well, I'm happy for you. I don't know what you're doing, but I had been thinking about whether this role was your best fit.
Yeah.
Right. And we haven't worked together for a couple of years, but obviously I was a huge fan. I'm oh yeah, I want to hire Catherine. And when we started working together, I'm I was almost going to be you could probably be more impactful doing something that requires more thought and strategy and creativity. I feel like you have a lot to offer. So hopefully this new role does that.
Yeah.
But I got the sense that maybe this wasn't this wasn't your best career fit.
Yeah, no, I felt that, I was like, I know Mike can sense something's off and I'm just not as connected. And I tried to just get back on track, but I just think like, I don't know, my kind of goals and my interests have shifted a lot, and tech sales was like a really good fit in the beginning, and I was gangbusters, and now I'm just sort of itching for something different. So I respect the hell out of you as a manager, and like it's a little ironic to be quitting under your management, because you're literally the best manager I've ever had.
Okay.
But it's honestly out of like compassion for the team, and I know that if I'm not able to give it my all, like I'd rather somebody else step in that's really gonna crush the territory and like do the best job they can for you.
Yeah.
That went so well. It's always the conversations, the events, the meetings that I'm most nervous about that go the best, and most anxious and worried about. He was so kind. I knew he would be so compassionate about it, and there was zero downside, like literally zero downside. It was just a little awkward at the beginning to get the first line out of like, I'm leaving, because it's just such like a dramatic mic drop. Like there's no way to just like kind of eke into that. You kind of just have to like get it out there. I'm a free agent. And it's also kind of nice when somebody validates that like they see you doing something different too. Because just to give you guys some context, like this manager, he was my first VP when I first started in my entry-level role, and I was trying to prove myself and I was busting my ass, and like he truly saw like what I was capable of when I was giving my all to the role. And then he hired me onto his actual team, like beneath him this year, 5 years later, because he had the faith in sort of like my work ethic and sort of like my drive. And then he was just sort of, I think, taken aback because he just felt like I was kind of quiet. I wasn't really engaging as much. I wasn't as active. And he asked me a couple times, like he just really noticed like, hey, what's going on? Versus my manager last year, like oblivious, like just could barely even pay attention to me for a second. So he kind of just felt like, yeah, maybe you need to do something more creative or more like analytical or like imaginative than sales. And so that's super validating, like when somebody also sees that you're not the right fit. So he's down for me to leave after 2 weeks. But he's also like, hey, you're pretty close to getting a couple of these deals done. So if you want to just stay on until those close, so we get you paid on them because you've been working on them, like that's also an option. So he's super flexible. I am just feeling so good. Like,
Do you really wonder if I should believe all those things about heaven and sin? So you tell me to change in my life and those beautiful lies, and those beautiful lies.
one thing about me, if there's a way to walk there, I will be pursuing it. I will find a way to be a pedestrian. Wasn't even planning on like updating y'all on what I'm up to tonight, but I'm having a good little time. I have frequently talked about artist dates on my channel, and I feel compelled every so often to like share them with you because they're just so meaningful and impactful in my life and my overall well-being. Basically, I got tickets for Snail Mail tonight. I've yet to make any friends in Seattle that like truly genuinely share my taste in music, which I find very silly. Because every time I go to like a restaurant, the gym, like a bar, a clothing store, the music playing in Seattle is always like shit that I love. So I know that my music taste like is compatible with Seattle. I just haven't met my indie bitches here yet. Just haven't. I do feel like that's one compelling reason to use something like Bumble BFF. Or, I mean, I've seen like lots of people just go on Tinder and be like looking for friends kind of thing. Because you can just be like, hey, who wants to come to XYZ concert with me? And then you'll find people who also listen to that artist. Here's the deal, it's like, I don't mind. And I enjoy going to concerts alone because I would rather go solo and experience it on my own than bring someone who doesn't really appreciate that artist and is just there for me. Like, I don't want them to just be there nodding their head because I want them to be there for my own comfort. So anyway, I'm going to see All Male alone tonight, and I decided to make like a little date out of it. So I went to the tailor because I'm 26 years old, and that's what you do, is you get things altered. Then I just dropped some stuff off at Goodwill. I walked through the ID, which I've never been to before. It's like the Chinatown here. And now I'm gonna go to this dinner spot that I had saved on Instagram like years ago. And I drive by it all the time on the way back from picking my friends up from the airport. And I just called and they have bar seating, so I'm gonna go get my little solo dinner on. And again, I don't want any of my vlog footage to sound like I'm trying to convince you that this is actually a good time and really fun. You could agree, you can disagree, you just gotta try it for yourself. Like, personally, I just find that spending time on my own like really fills my well, and I end up with so many ideas by just spending the time with myself. So yeah, you can join me on the rest of the date.
As much you give for nothing, as much we live in love, so that's my only reason. Give love, give love. Do you really wonder I shouldn't know? With all these things about heaven and earth. So you tell me to change all my thoughts in those beautiful words, in those beautiful words, in those beautiful words.
Hello. It is my first official day of unemployment or underemployment, whatever you want to call it. And I just dropped my parents off at the airport. I will be joining them shortly for the second leg of my unemployment tour, but I'm actually en route to the headquarters, to the office, to drop off my laptops and officially peace out. I just deleted Outlook off my phone. I just deleted Slack off my phone. And even though there's not much emotion in my voice, I have just been feeling 20 pounds lighter ever since I gave my 2 weeks. I've gotten nothing but positive, supportive, encouraging reactions from it. Everyone understands it, has been receiving it incredibly well. And I just feel the need to like document this, even if I'm not sort of in my true like saccharine oversharing bag. Like, I want to come on this. First of all, two things actually. I want to come on this crying, sobbing, elated, screaming, shitting, farting, throwing up. But it's just not the way of the world. Like, I do feel like as though this is like a turning point in my life, you know, like my theme music is changing, like the color grading of my life is changing. We're entering a new era. And I think I'm gonna look back at this decision as fondly as I do the decision to move to Seattle, and I just wanted to capture it on video. I've been journaling literally every day for the past like 2 weeks, which usually I do my morning pages, which is like 3-page stream of consciousness, like 4 to 5 times a week. So that just goes to show how much I have to report on. But it's such a crucial time in my life. I also don't feel like I'm very emotional. The second thing is I also don't feel like I'm very emotional because I got my IUD out, and that was an experiment. I've had it in for 7 years. I have the Mirena. I have no problem talking about contraception. I also feel like it's a crucial time to be talking about contraception and what your sort of reproductive strategy is going to be these days. But I got it out at a very interesting time. I've had it in for 7 years. I had the Mirena, and it's supposed to last 3 to 5 years, but in Europe they've approved it for 10. And I just haven't been off of hormones since I was 18. And like, I got my period really late, so like I haven't honestly been like basically experiencing like my menstruation cycle and just like my overall mood and everything without progesterone in so long. And so I just wanted to see like what that would be like. My dermatologist was convinced it would heal my acne, but my gyno was like adamantly against that. So I don't really know. Doctors love to fight amongst themselves and nobody take the blame. Chronic illness baddies, you know where I'm coming from with that. But yeah, and I genuinely do think I saw Marcel the Shell with shoes on, and that is a movie I wholeheartedly expected to cry at because it's adorable and grief-filled and just so tender, and I didn't even get close to welling up. Not even like a little bit of wetness in the eye. None of that. And like when I first got my IUD, like around that time, like my freshman year of college, I just started getting so emotional. I used to never cry at movies, and then suddenly, boom, I was sobbing at things. There were times, and I think maybe because of Wellbutrin, like there have been times over the past year that like I have just been like standing at a concert and just like seeing a live performer get to do their thing has made me so just effusively like just joyful that I'm like, I need to express this and it comes out of my fucking eyes. So I'm kind of wondering if I'm entering into my like emotionless era. Like I wonder if this is gonna make me just not sour but just like indifferent, which would be kind of sad because I enjoy being a Pisces and being like very emo. But that being said, there have been some times over the past 2 weeks that I have cried, but at kind of traumatic pivotal moments. Anyway, I'm not going to get into that. There are some things that I still keep sacred. Now that I've talked about my uterus, I'll see you in the office. It's kind of a full circle moment because the first time I ever came to Adobe, it was this office, the headquarters for an interview, like literally 5.5 years ago. And I kind of had my hair curly when I took this headshot, and then I departed from that, and now I'm back. It's wonderful to finally do things authentically. Like, I would have never came to the office in my classic overall and Blundstones fit with a hat on. But I don't have to be fake professional anymore. None of that performance. You guys should have seen it. Maybe I'll actually put in my resignation email. They're always so boring and like formal, and I just took all of that out of mine and had a little fun with it. Was finally true to myself for once. Even made, those of you on Twitter saw it first, I made a little resignation day playlist. So if you're quitting your job, I'll link it down below. It makes a good breakup playlist. I'm quite fond of it. I spent more time on it than anything meaningful I've done for work in the last 1.5 years. And that's that on that. So let's go finish my career. I'm fucking out of here, bitch. This is the first time I've ever quit anything. Kind of half joking, but kind of literally. I quit very few things. And this is my first full-time job, so feels a little weird. But there will probably be more quittings in my future, so it's good practice. It does kind of feel surreal because I was working remote when I quit this job, so it's not really a stark contrast. Like, I was at home during the work week and now I'll be at home, well, probably kayaking somewhere during the work week at this point. But yeah, it feels surreal for sure. And now I gotta pack up and fly out to New Orleans for Jazz Fest, baby.
Is life just this way? Eating shit like